You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. The lights dim, the band hits the stage, and then a single, massive guitar riff or a thunderous drum beat just explodes through the speakers. And the crowd? It just erupts, becoming this one roaring, moving thing. And all of that happens before a single word is even sung? We're going to figure out what's really going on there, the secret behind that raw, primal power of just the music itself. So let's just dive right in. How is it possible that a bunch of sounds with no lyrics, no story, can just completely take over thousands of individual people and turn them into one unified, frenzied mass? The answer is, well, it's pretty wild, and it's buried deep down in our own biology and our ancient history. And if you think that feeling of just losing yourself to the beat is some modern invention, a product of rock and roll or giant festival sound systems, think again. This isn't new. This is a fundamental, totally hardwired part of being human that goes back thousands and thousands of years. To get what's happening in your brain today, we've got to go way, way back. So what we're going to do is hit play on a kind of historical playlist, a rundown of humanity's most intense, music-fueled moments. These are snapshots from the past that show us, for as long as we've been making music, we've been using it to get completely carried away together. It's a journey through time, all powered by rhythm. Our tour starts in ancient Greece with some wild religious rituals. Then it jumps to this really bizarre dancing plague in medieval Europe, and we land in the 1800s with the world's very first rock star. Let's start at the beginning. So the first time we really see this written down is with the followers of the Greek god Dionysus. And they weren't just kicking back and listening to some tunes. No, they were deliberately using loud, driving, rhythmic music from drums and flutes to achieve a state they called ecstasis. And that word literally means to be outside oneself. Think about that. It was an intentional, sound-driven frenzy, a kind of divine madness. Okay, let's fast forward a couple thousand years. See that number on the screen? Hundreds. In 1518, in a city called Strasbourg, that's how many people just started dancing in the streets. And this was not a party. They danced for days on end, some until they literally dropped from pure exhaustion. It was the peak of this phenomenon they called the dancing mania. Now, here is where it gets really weird. The official response from the authorities, they were so completely baffled that they hired musicians to keep playing. I mean, just picture it. The town square is full of people dancing uncontrollably, and the government hires a band to provide the soundtrack. Their thinking was that music had to be the key. It could either keep the frenzy going, or maybe, just maybe, the right rhythm could cure it. Even back then, they knew how powerful instrumental sound was over a crowd. All right, let's jump ahead again, this time to the 1840s. And I want you to meet Franz Liszt. He was a Hungarian pianist, and the reaction he got from his audience was so extreme, so hysterical, that doctors actually had to invent a medical term for it: Listomania. People would scream, they would weep, they would literally faint during his concerts. He was, for all intents and purposes, the world's first rock star. And this just shows you how little we've actually changed. Liszt's fans would literally fight each other over his broken piano strings and wear them as bracelets. Today, fans dive over each other for a tossed guitar pick or a crumpled set list. The technology is different, sure, but that core reaction, that hysterical adoration for a musician channeling something powerful through sound, that is absolutely timeless. So we know this kind of thing has been happening for centuries. We have the receipts, but why? Why does it happen? To answer that, we have to put away the history books and actually look inside our own heads. It's time to get into the science behind the sound. It turns out our brains are pretty much hardwired to react to music in 4 really specific ways. It starts with a super primal automatic reflex. Then our brains actually start syncing up with each other. Then we get a nice hit of pleasure chemicals for predicting the beat. And finally, we literally feel it in our bones. Let's break these down one by one. First up, the brainstem reflex. Now, this is crucial. Music hijacks your lizard brain before your thinking brain even knows what's going on. Long before you recognize a song, your brainstem hears that loud, fast, driving beat, and it basically thinks urgent event. It immediately triggers an alarm, flooding your system with adrenaline. It's this gut-level, preconscious jolt of pure energy. So, just for a second, picture your brain, right now. Your neurons are firing away, everything is pulsing along to its own unique internal rhythm. You're just you. Now, put yourself in a big crowd before the music starts. What you have is thousands of these individual brains, all doing their own thing, all pulsing at different rates. Everyone's brainwaves are totally out of sync. It's neurological chaos. But then that powerful, steady beat drops, and something incredible happens. It's called neural entrainment. The neurons inside every single person's brain start to fire in sync with that beat. All of a sudden, thousands of brains are on the exact same wavelength. You know that feeling of connection, of being part of something bigger? That's not just in your head. It's real. It's your brain syncing up with thousands of others, releasing oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Okay, so what about that feeling, the chills, the goosebumps when the music is just perfect? Well, your brain is basically a pattern recognition machine, and it absolutely loves to be right. So when a song is building tension, like a screaming guitar solo or a frantic drum roll, your brain is predicting the payoff. It knows the beat is going to drop. And just for anticipating that moment, it rewards itself with a little squirt of dopamine. Then, when the band delivers and that beat drops right where you knew it would, boom, a massive pleasure hit. That's the chill. And that physical feeling, that thumping you feel deep in your chest, that's the bass. See, you don't just hear low-frequency sounds with your ears, you feel them with your whole body. Those vibrations physically stimulate your nervous system. It's like they're triggering your fight-or-flight response, but because your brain knows you're at a concert and you're safe, it just feels exhilarating. Okay, so let's tie all of this together. We've looked at the history, we've peeked inside the brain. What's the big idea here? What does this all really mean? Here it is, that instrumental frenzy, that feeling of losing it in a crowd. It's not a weird bug or a side effect. It's the whole point. It's a feature. From an evolutionary standpoint, music is the ultimate social glue. It's a biological technology designed to sync us up, to make us forget ourselves for a moment, and to bond us into a single, powerful, cohesive group. So the next time you're in a crowd and you feel that beat drop and you get completely lost in that moment with everyone else, just remember what's happening. You're tapping into one of the most ancient and powerful parts of what it means to be human. And it kind of leaves you with a pretty big question, doesn't it? If a simple rhythm can synchronize thousands of our minds in a moment of pure joy, what else could we be capable of if we all acted in perfect sync?